Hello, everyone. It's not loud, right? So, hi, everyone. My name is Ilia, and yeah, getting started with iOS accessibility. So, a bit intro about me. I'm working in Just Eat as senior iOS engineer and design system team. So yeah, I'm an engineer on design system meetup. It's fine. I'm working as iOS engineer for 7 years, and I really miss Light Unlock. So if you were told, so that was a cool feature. I was co-organizing one of the largest iOS community back in the days, so it was I had good times. Anyways, so you can find me anywhere by handle Ilia Chikmarev. Anyways, what this talk will be about, first of all, why iOS and mobile in general need specific attention in terms of accessibility, because I think it's quite different from web or any other platform. Also, I will try to introduce the start and beginning of platform features where you can put your focus to start with accessibility as a designer, as design system team. And last but not least, about web processes. I can hear slight echo. Is fine for you guys? Yeah, okay, sorry. Last but not least, about processes, how it can be done, different on design to engineering level transition, what can be improved, what technologies or existing instruments you can use. So anyways, let's begin. So the first one, just quick intro. We have great tool on web content accessibility guidelines. It's super useful. I really like sometimes to refer to it even on mobile. But one problem with web content accessibility guidelines, but it's written for web. And if most of the cases are applicable for mobile, not all of them. Unfortunately, mobile behaves differently. We have different design systems. We have different platform usage. The device itself can be used differently rather than desktop device. So anyways, it needs special attention, and web content accessibility guidelines not applicable at all. Next one, again, compare with web. Usually sites have accessibility version. You can see this high contrast themes, which can be enabled only by one button. Or for example, you have a specific separate version of site with accessibility features enabled. Unfortunately, again, it's not applicable for mobile. We need to create original version, and after that we need to implement the accessibility features. Keep in mind what the original version should exist, and we can create separate app, for example, only for accessibility. But interesting challenge to keep both usual interface and unusual interface for accessibility, again, requires special attention. And last one here is platform support. Fortunately for us, Apple introduced a lot of features in terms of accessibility. We can support them as iOS engineers, and also we can design anything for mobile platforms to support that. So let's start with some interesting platform features, what you can utilize as design system. I divided the features itself at 3 levels. For example, it's you only starting with iOS accessibility at mobile. The slides will be marked with this blue color. It's for more beginner level. If you already had down on something about iOS accessibility, already designed a couple of screens, it will be marked with medium level. And if you knew everything, I have some advanced slides, so maybe you can learn something new. So let's begin with Voiceover. One of the feature, it can be called screen reader or whatever. So Voiceover, from user perspective, the blind people can use the device a bit differently than usual. For them, device transforms into the tappable panel when you can touch interface, and interface will announce what's happening on your screen. You can also navigate and interact with interface by navigating through slides. So if you are designers, I have an example for you. Try to explain for you developers what's happening on your screen as it was via phone call. So it's pretty useful and pretty common to use it. So the beginner stuff here is to how to turn it on and also how to turn it off. Because raise your hands up if you have iPhone. So yeah, so for you it will be useful. So if you turn it on, the device will behave differently. And for me, at first, like it was super confusing how to turn it off. So let's learn how to turn it off first. For example, in setting accessibility shortcut VoiceOver, you can enable VoiceOver to be turned off by triple tapping the side button, and will pop up this small sheet, so you can turn the VoiceOver. Or one more way is to call a Siri and ask Siri to disable VoiceOver. So it's just beginner steps. Next one, let's me explain how it works. So VoiceOver runs on your elements in terms of how we present it on the screen. So by default, it usually works with any mobile design because the system does it automatically, but you still can tweak it. Anyways, let's learn how to navigate across your screen. So for example, VoiceOver will select element with this border. It should be black in usual representation. And if you swipe right, for example, it will navigate to the next element like that. And if you swipe left, it will navigate to previous one. Again, if you will tap on the screen, it will pause or announce element which is currently selected, or you can tap the existing element. I will not cover all the gestures what we have in the VoiceOver because it's around 20-ish. Anyways, it's super cool to play around it because it gives you an ability to work with VoiceOver and to try it yourself, as it was for blind user, for example. Anyways, let's go to a more complex example. For example, in Just Eat, we have these cards with product, and again, by default, it should work, but we still can do some tricks to make it more useful for VoiceOver user. For example, we don't usually need for VoiceOver user to announce an image, so we can disable it and skip it completely. The next part, which will be handful to improve, is combine this text together. But if we will use it by default, it will just announce this whole text as one string. So we can do is utilize here two interesting things, which called accessibility label and accessibility value. So it will be announced with different tone of voice and intonations. So that's how the blind user can identify what something have different priority and separate them. And the last step here will be, we need somehow to indicate what this element is tappable. So we can use a special thing called traits. So by using traits button, we can identify what is this tappable element and what it can be available to navigate through it. So all this stuff can be represented as mental model. Like you can divide it like label, where there will be a name for a restaurant, value, where will be additional information, and action will be button. So when you're designing the screens, you can plan it and implement in your design so the developers can use it for VoiceOver. One more also interesting feature what we can use and implement again is what's happening if for VoiceOver user something is presented on the screen, something is animating, maybe screen changes. For that thing, we have special thing called UI accessibility post. It will announce special sound for user, and user will understand what something is changed. So, for example, when we're showing this bottom sheet in JetApp, we're announcing that sound. And one more thing which is quite cool, we can change the focus to the first element on bottom sheet. So, for example, for this one, it will be close button. So if user occasionally touch something, he can close it immediately. One more advanced level stuff about VoiceOver, which again, I can't cover everything, but I want to share a bit of knowledge. In Just Eat, we have this menu page where we have a lot of sections. So, for example, if you want to navigate between the deals, pizza, whatever, you need to scroll and the screen will be scrolled to a concrete category. But how it will be used for VoiceOver user, it will be hard. So we can use the special iOS feature called VoiceOver Rotor. It allows us to navigate, to change the way how the VoiceOver navigating in screen. So instead of navigating by elements, as it was in previous examples, we can navigate through search bars, or we can navigate through containers. One only thing you need to do is to do two-finger swipe circlish, so you can navigate by words, by characters, and we can also do is to use custom rotors. So for this example, with sections, we can use custom rotors. If you want to dig into that, I really recommend to watch the DubDub session. Is iOS conferences, and it's called Voiceover Efficiency with Custom Orders. Again, you can talk with your developers and use this feature. Next big topic is dynamic type, increased or decreased font. Again, why we need is from user perspective, one of the most popular settings, which I can see and which like I knew, is enlarged font. Most of users trying to increase it. So if a person visually impaired, Apple provided a lot of features for us so we can utilize it. For example, we can disable animation or make the text even bolder. Again, I'm saying that it's super popular. The apt.org did some research. So in their research in Netherlands, I believe, 30% of the users have increased and decreased font. So you need to plan your interface to be scalable and adjustable for different fonts. And again, for developer or design perspective, it's quite hard challenge to make, again, one interface as usual, and also make it scalable for increased font size. It's not trivial way, so I will try to share some tips and tricks what we're using here. Again, how to enable it, basic stuff if you don't use the default. So we have setting accessibility, display and text side, and we have a special section called larger text. Also, by dragging slider on top, we can increase it to bigger one, and it can be useful for you, for example, to enable it and test your app. Again, it should work automatically in any iOS app, but what we usually do, we allow developers and designers not to increase some font at some point, because your interface can scale pretty good, but some parts of interface components shouldn't be scaled at all. And why is that? Because next feature that we have is large content view. So if we have this delivery correction toggle as on previous screen, which is selected, we're not allowed to scale it because we're using the large content view. So if you're long tapping on that element, it will show a special menu, which is big one, and the user can understand what's happening on that element, and we don't need to scale it. Another one trick which I can recommend is to change orientation for some stack views. So most of the designs are designed that way, but you have some horizontally aligned cards. For example, you have the name of the product and the picture of the product. And if we increase the font size, the text size will be increased and the image will be shifted. So what I advise to do is to change orientation. For example, in that case, the text will be scaled, image goes down, and we can scroll it up and down. So it will fit more content if content size increased. Next topic is about visibility, how we can utilize some things that can be used to help user who are having who not good at distinguish colors, for example, that users can use high contrast theme, or we can help them to see more, make controls more visible. Again, we have a lot of settings from Apple again to support. Two examples what I want to introduce now, because again, it's a lot of settings, and I'll try to explain what we are using in chat. This one is about increasing high contrast, and it's again quite useful to distinguish colors. And the second one is about button shapes. I will show it in examples. How we implemented it on tokens level. Yeah, just a bit about tokens. We have standard theme, standard tokens, and it's used across the app. But we also have high contrast theme. And for example, if iOS app understands what high contrast is enabled, we're switching to that tokens, and it looks different, but adjusted to distinguish colors on the screen. So for example, it's our usual screen for menu. It looks like normally, but if we increase contrast, we have separate colors changed, we have price colors changed, overall colors are more bold and more visible. So it's done across the app. The next thing is about the button shapes. So how it's structured again in our case. We have a controls, for example, buttons, and control itself doesn't know anything about token or settings, but token set have specific border token. So if button shapes is enabled and we detect that border tokens is nil or clear, we trying to switch it to alternative one, so make it easier to see. Again, how it looks in Apple app. This is our usual app. And if we have border, and we have button shapes enabled, now the bottom button are a background color, so it's again more visible. And the close button have a border color, so the close button again can be separated from background. So it's quite cool to have it and to support such features. And now one, not about visibility in normal way, but how you can help users to fill you up different, how you can help users to make interaction better. So again, by default, from the system, we have haptics. Developers need to implement them. But anyways, we have three default one. One is called success, second one is warning, and the last one is error. Anyways, what we're doing in Jet, for example, we're implementing them to main user flow. So if user want to order something and it's CTA button, he will not miss it what he pressed it. So the haptic will be produced. Again, quite cool for users to improve the feeling of your app and how it feels your interface. Again, last part, what change on process level, advices from myself. Again, use mental model, describe anything like text. Let me show, for example. You can get switch up transcribed here, but anyway, what I did. On the left screen is just the interface itself. On the right one, I tried to populate it from mental model. So I tried to explain what element have action, how it's called, what is consumed, should be adjustable or not, how it's located, and if you guess it right, it's just Apple Music with full album from Red Hot Chili Peppers. Next one is plan together and test in Figma with your developers. So Figma right now, as previous speaker said, have a lot of plugins which can help you to plan your accessible design ahead, even in terms of mobile. We have high contrast plugins which can help you with colors. We have the responsible design, dev mode. I think you know everything of that. So utilize it before actual development so you can help the developers and you can help to create the accessible design on mobile. Last one, we have a lot of automation on developer side. I think a lot of design system designers are super keen to use automation. So here's a couple of things that we can use on iOS. Code itself, it's IDE for code. Now have automatic accessibility test. So you don't need to do anything. You don't need to audit your app. It will be done automatically. So it can highlight a couple of common mistakes, for example, wrong contrast, not using of dynamic type, hit region can be different, so you can see everything on screen. Again, it's automated, you don't need to perform it, audit yourself, the Xcode will be, can done it automatically. Next one, I think, at least in Jet, we are super keen to use the snapshot testing. And what we can be done here is to use accessibility snapshots. So if you already created an accessibility screen and you're sure that it's work perfectly, you can do accessibility snapshots. So in future, it shouldn't be changed, or you can just check how the accessibility tree are constructed and how it works with your design. One more variation of that is accessibility text snapshot. Again, on code level, we can structure a tree of elements and highlight like how we using accessibility, do we have accessibility property or not. So again, super cool to use. Or you can use other solutions. For example, again, what we did in Jet and design system. On developer level, for both iOS and Android, we got assigned as engineers to any changes in code if it contained accessibility changes. So that's how we maintain the consistency across accessibility changes in iOS app. So it's all from me. So again, message me and if you have any questions. This is QR code with all materials what I used to prepare a speech. So you can scan it and use it. We have dozens of settings. I covered, I think, only 5% of all we have on mobile platforms. So feel free to use it and explore it. Apple have great documentation. Not great, but yeah, it's good documentation. Yeah, collaborate between engineering and design is crucial here because it's what we do in Jet, collaborate between, share our knowledge. For example, I'm doing this talk to do it. And don't forget about Android because we have the same features as iOS. Maybe we call different. Screen reader, who called it screen reader? Anyways, you can share some designs, you can share some approach here, so you can support two platforms. Yeah, that's it. Thank you very much for listening.